your Teaching Council website. So once you have registered as a teacher in New Zealand, you'll be able to search up your registration in the search area over here, and it will give you the date when your registration is expiring, but also what status your registration is. So to get to the Hapara Matatū platform, we actually have to click on this login to the Hapara Matatū platform, and it will take us there. Once we have arrived onto the page, you'll be given options with regards to what you are applying for. So if you are a teacher that's actually previously been registered in New Zealand, you would be applying through this section over here. Our recommendation is that if you don't know your ESL login, that you get in contact with the Teaching Council and they'll be able to support you in terms of getting that sorted out. If you're a new teacher and this is your first time actually applying for New Zealand teacher registration, you'll be applying for that through the Entering Teaching in New Zealand, this section over here. So when you click on this, you'll be redirected onto the Ministry of Education's ESL platform. Once you click that, you'll be redirected to the Ministry of Education's ESL logon. And once you've gotten to this stage, you'll be looking to create a new account. Create a new account. And you'll be required to complete this section to set up your ESL logon. Once you have done so, that's when you'll go back to the Teaching Council website and be able to log into the Hapara Matatū platform. Once you've logged on to the Hapara Matatū platform, you'll be able to be indicated as to where to click to actually start the application. And once you've clicked on that button, you will be shown the application. And at the top of the application, you'll have your status bar, and this will actually show you how you're progressing on with the application. There are also auto-save stations within the application process where once you reach them, you'll be notified and you're actually able to pick up your application from there at any given stage. What we'll cover here is some supporting documentation that you'll require to make this application a lot quicker for you. These are stuff that you can start collecting now. We will also recommend that you actually have an up-to-date CV on file, as this will be required as part of the application. We will also cover some useful links on the Teaching Council website that you can visit, so just to get a bit more information regarding the resources which are required and also the documents. We will also just give a little overview as to the TTMRA that will be discussed within the application as to show teachers who are registered in Australia what pathway they will take to get registered in New Zealand. The first thing you'll be required to provide is a proof of identity. And there are two different forms which you can complete, one for if you're based overseas and the other is if you're based in New Zealand. Both forms will require you to actually provide two forms of IDs, and on the form it will be indicated what IDs apply for each section. If you've had your name changed at any given point, you'll also be required to provide a name change certificate. We'll jump onto the following Teaching Council link, and it will show you the different forms that you'll need to complete depending on where you're based, but also the documents that you'll need to provide. With the proof of identity, there are also specific people who are actually able to complete the form. On the link, we'll also show you who those people are. This is the proof of identity page on the Teaching Council website. And so if you are based overseas, you'll be completing this following form over here, the proof of identity overseas form. And if you are actually based in New Zealand, then you'll be completing just the normal proof of identity form. If you're based in New Zealand, these are the people who are actually able to complete a proof of identity for you. If you're based overseas, you'll need to see one of the following to get that proof of identity form completed. These are the forms of criteria A that you'll need to provide, and criteria B forms that you'll need to provide if you're based in New Zealand. If you're based overseas, this are what count as criteria A IDs, and these are criteria B IDs. This section over here will cover how to go by getting those documents verified. Will also be required to provide a police check, and this will be a police check for any country that you've lived in for 12 months or more within the past 10 years. If one of those countries was New Zealand, the Teaching Council will actually complete a police check on your behalf, so you don't have to worry about getting that sorted out. You'll also be required to provide certified copies of your qualifications. So this will be your teaching qualification certificate and also the transcript. If you have an underpinning qualification, then you'll need to provide the certificate of that underpinning qualification plus the transcript. If your qualifications are not in English, you'll need to provide the original copies, but also the English translation. If you've had to go through the process of getting your qualifications assessed by NZQA, you'll need to provide the NZQA outcome. You'll also be required to provide evidence for the language competency. We'll jump onto the Teaching Council website just to give you a rough indication as to what counts as evidence for the language competency section. So this is the Teaching Council page for the language competency requirements. So if you scroll down, you'll actually find the list of evidence that you can provide to demonstrate that you meet the language competency. They vary from country to country, so we recommend that you take a closer look at this section just to determine which one actually applies to you. You'll also find that if you scroll just a little bit further down, language tests that you can complete and what score you would need to get for each section to meet the requirement for the language competency for the Teaching Council. You will also be required to provide certified documents of your practicum placement. So if your qualification was listed on the pre-approved list, you'll be required to provide evidence of your practicum. You also need to provide certified documents of your teaching experience documentation. So this can be your testimonial reference letters. These need to be on the school letterhead and have to be regarding your teaching. You also need to provide any evidence of your induction or mentoring that you might have undertaken during that time period, assessments of your teaching practice. So these could be appraisals or observations. Also any professional development that you might have undertaken at any given point. Evidence of any professional status that you hold. So if you're registered in the UK and have completed QTS, that could be something that you can provide. So if you have something like that from any other countries, you'll be required to provide certified copies of that. Now that we have covered all of those documents that you'll be required, we'll actually jump onto the Teaching Council website and start the application in the Hapara Matatū platform. We'll pick up from after you have set up your ESL login and have started the application. And we'll run you through what documentation you need to provide and exactly where those documentation goes. And then once we've gotten that, we'll cover the last section of the application in terms of payments and what will follow on after that. So to get us started, once you've completed the information, the contact information and the first few tabs, you'll come to your current education situation right here. So if you guys can run us through it.
Sure. So the first question is, there's some personal details that we've just skipped past, and we've just jumped to the current situation here. There's a little status bar at the top which can tell you where you are in the application, and sometimes it might skip ahead, but you'll all end up at the same place at the end. So first question is what sector you will be teaching in. This is just for voting purposes, and we're just going to select primary. And are you currently employed in a teaching position in New Zealand? So that is if you have started teaching in New Zealand.
In a teaching role.
In a teaching role, yeah.
Perfect.
Are you currently living outside of New Zealand?
Yes.
We're going to say yes.
So since we said to yes to living overseas, we have to provide the overseas proof of identity, and the form can be found either here while answering the question or on our website. So we're just going to upload the proof of identity completed. You can either drag and drop or upload it. I'm going on to the next one. Now, have you spent 12 months or more outside the country, which will be yes, if you're currently living overseas. And this is all the information, how to get a police certificate, and any further information will be on our website as well, or immigration website on which police certificates to provide. And we want within the last 10 years, so from 2011 till now.
And it's important that you use the calendar on the side. You can't freeform typing in the dates. And there's some options that if you've already previously provided it in another application, that's one of the options. If it's still in progress, so you may have applied to have the police certificate sent out, so we can still process the application while we're waiting for it to come through. And you can also attach a certified copy here.
Yeah, and you know, how recent would you recommend that the police check be for?
As recent as possible.
As recent as possible, perfect. So then you would recommend that, you know, if you're within a month of applying for teacher registration, that's when the ideal time to submit that police check, and then you can indicate it whether you have it back or not during the application.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And all the files are drag and drop.
I think you went to the.
So just go back to, yeah, and then just go back to the home.
Oh, sorry. Again.
Oh, click on it, and then go back to the home. I think it's just easy if you click open. Yeah.
And if you have spent any time in the last 10 years, over a year in another country, it loops back again. If no, then you can just send a no.
Okay, perfect.
So this is if you have registration in Australia, then you can be eligible to apply under the TTMRA, which is the Trans-Tasman Mutual Recognition Act. For this purpose, we're going to say no.
And if you do apply for under the TTMRA, you'll just be going to one more screen, and that would just be asking for a copy of your registration details in that state, and then you'll skip forward to the end because of the arrangement that we have between the two countries.
Okay, perfect. That's good to hear.
Okay, now this question is really important. Do you want a practicing certificate? So what we're asking for is whether you want registration or a practicing certificate. So if you apply for a practicing certificate, registration is included. But if you are not planning on coming to the country for a wee while, you might just want to apply for registration only.
Yeah. So,
however, registration only does not allow you to teach in New Zealand. You need a practicing certificate to actually be lawfully teach in New Zealand.
Perfect. Yeah, and we would recommend that you get it with the practicing certificate, as registration is 3 years long. So, you know, then that gives you roughly 3 years to come and start teaching in New Zealand.
Now it's going on to the teaching qualification. So if your qualification is as an overseas trained teacher, you will select overseas. We're just interested in the overseas teaching qualification.
So even if you have an undergraduate qualification in New Zealand, we're just interested in answering overseas at this point if this is your initial teaching education qualification.
Yep. So this is where we type in a name, special education, the university you taught it.
Something like that.
Okay. 4 years. Yep. Let's make it recent.
And is this an initial teaching education qualification? Yes.
And the way that we determine that it is an initial teaching qualification is with the NZQA pre-approved list, isn't it?
Yep. Or NZQA report
Oh,
that it compares to a initial teaching qualification in New Zealand. Yep.
And if you see any of these little eyes, that's help text. So there's some more information here if you hover over it regarding the NZQA website.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this is where we want the teaching qualification uploaded.
Yep.
So we want the award certificate as well as the academic transcript.
Perfect.
Certified.
Perfect.
This can be all in one document, or it can be the award certificate and transcript separately. It doesn't really matter for us. And if you don't have a transcript, then please provide a reason why you don't have it. But most of the time, we would still want a statement from the university saying why they can't issue it or why they haven't issued it. So from the source directly. And then the next question is the practicum part.
Did you complete a supervised teaching practicum as part of this teaching qualification?
Which should be yes, as every teaching qualification requires practicum.
Now this, do you want to answer this question about how long the practicum is? The way the system reads it is in years.
Yeah. And yes, we would like to upload details regarding the practicum. It could be just a statement of how long the practicum was and which school age it was, or if it's part of the transcript, just upload the transcript again, maybe highlight it or if possible.
This just loops back if
yeah.
you have more supervised teaching that you'd like to add. And again, it asks you if you have another qualification to add, but at this point, we're just going to say no. It just loops back.
Now it will ask if you have any teaching experience since you gained your teaching qualification. Yes. This is where you can upload your CV, which lists all your teaching experience. And the next step is to provide testimonial and appraisal or classroom observations from the schools, also certified. We require these certified as well. Alternatively, later on, the school can also email us directly if they haven't got it just yet. This question is regarding the mentor teaching. So some countries have, after they finish their teaching qualification, do mentored program as a newly qualified teacher. And this is where they can upload the evidence of that for an induction year. And on the bottom will be the CV will already be there.
Yeah.
So this question is regarding if they have any other teacher registration in any other country,
Yeah.
for example, Ireland or South Africa or the Philippines. They can upload their professional status there as well. We're gonna say no for this one. Now this is regarding the language requirements for teacher registration. So each applicant has to provide evidence of meeting the language requirements in New Zealand.
Yeah.
The policy can be found on our website, and a summary is also on this question.
And if you're trained, let's say in Australia, Canada, or the UK, can you use your qualification as a means of proving that you meet the language competencies?
Yeah, so the qualifications would be the 2 to 3 years bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
It has to be at least 2 years.
Yeah, perfect.
So we're gonna say we completed the education in primary and some secondary schooling. Now this is for South Africans, we require the high school matriculation certificate,
Yeah.
as well as language statements from the schools or university confirming that it was completed in English,
Yeah.
and face-to-face, and the years as well. So this is where we upload the evidence.
And again, this just loops back if you have more language tests that you'd like to upload.
Yeah, you can combine language evidence,
Yeah.
to make it up. Now we're already at the applicant declaration.
So we've just skipped right through to the declarations here. And these questions are asked of every teacher that's teaching in New Zealand.
Mhm.
And if you say yes to any of these 4 questions, it is mandatory that you need to provide a comment and upload some evidence regarding the question. So these are standard questions for everyone. Have you ever been dismissed from a teaching position in any country? Have you ever had teaching registration refused or cancelled in any country?
This does not mean an application has been closed because the time frame has been like we had the application for too long,
Yeah.
or this is really if because of conduct or competency issue it has been cancelled.
Yeah.
So.
And if you say yes to, do you have any physical or mental health conditions that may affect your ability to carry out a teaching role safely in New Zealand, you'll need to upload a certified copy of a medical certificate. And are you under investigation? And we're going to say no here as well. Okay, and now these are acknowledgements and statements of consent. So it's great to read these carefully to see what you're ticking to. And we've highlighted each one so that after you've read it, you tick the box. So if you go through and read each one carefully. And it's about consent for police vets, sharing information, and understanding that all the information provided is factual and correct. Okay, so this screen here is where all applications land. This is what we call the eligibility criteria screen. And it has a little bit of a description about each one of the practicing certificate types. And the practicing certificate that we'll be looking for is the TTMRA provisional practicing certificate.
For all overseas trained teachers.
Yeah.
Now, it highlights here that these practicing certificates are valid now for 3 years. And if you select practicing certificate, it does include registration as well. And so this is the one that we're looking for, and it's 302.57. Registration only is 220.80. So like Kate said earlier, if you select the registration only, that means you can't teach in New Zealand. And it highlights what you've selected here. And it will go to finish and pay. And there's just a little note here that we no longer send out practicing certificate cards, the little plastic cards. So when you complete the application, you can, and it's been approved, you can download an online practicing certificate or a wallet size that you can have on your phone. So go finish and pay, and it goes to pay station, and you can pay by either credit card or by internet banking, which is Polly.
Yeah, I think that's where we'll finish off. Thank you very much for all of that information and providing us with a glimpse into how the application process does look. And if you have any questions after watching this webinar, please feel free to email into Care Team, and we will do our best to provide you with any other information that we really need. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.